Jingle bells ringing in my ear. Jingle bell, a sound that's oh so dear. Frosty the snowman is all around town. Watch out for reindeers are falling down. We stay up waiting for Santa tonight. He climbs down the chimney at the speed of light, while we're dancing around the Christmas tree, hugging and kissing just you and me. Carolers are singing outside our door, lovely songs we all heard before, as they walk from house to house to wish us all a Merry Christmas Day. Oh, a Merry Christmas.
Well, here we go. We've got less than a week till Christmas Day. In fact, yeah, what do we got? 5, 6, 4 days maybe, just depending on when I get this one uploaded. Quick shout out before we get on today's episode. Quick shout out to the Happy Amateur for his sticker. Aussie Lawn Dad, also cheers mate. And on Unreal Knobs, now they're the guys that do the really fancy little clutch engagement lever knobs for your Scott Bonner 45. So yeah, they can customise a particular thing. So if I wanted an Aussie Lawn one, I could have the Aussie Lawn logo inside the handle release, the knob, the engagement of the clutch. So shout out to those guys, thanks very much. Now, in today's episode, we're going to touch on a little bit of Primo and PGR stuff. So about 4 days ago, I put an application down in this green, and I also put an application down on the front lawn. Now, because I've been running really behind schedule this year, that was actually my first application for the season. But given the fact that we've had some really unusual weather, we haven't had thick growth, we've had really leggy sort of growth, which brings me to another thing that I'll touch on in a minute. But what I have been fielding lately is a lot of questions about PGR and can you cancel it out? One of the ones I got the other day was from a guy wanting to know if he applied a really heavy amount of fertiliser, could he actually reverse the effect of the PGR? Now, in short, the answer to that is no. The reason being is it actually affects I can't get this word out, the gibberellic acid within the plant. Now that's that's what makes it grow. So it curbs that. So the PGR kind of curbs that, or the Primo Max curbs that down. Now, even if you apply a lot of fertiliser to it, it's not going to push it out. You can reverse Primo applications by adding gibberellic acid, but I wouldn't really go down that road if I had to. I'd just wait it out, because after it comes out of its PGR control, you are inclined to get a growth spurt. So in answer to that, look, no, you can't reverse the effects by feeding it up really well. The other question I get quite a lot is, why do you have to wait 6 hours either side? So they say on the label you've got to wait 6 hours before a mow and 6 hours after a mow. So what I did there was I thought it would be best to get some expert advice. So I got in contact with Syngenta and I said, hey, listen, I get this question quite often. Is there exact reasons you can tell me why this is the case? So they came back to me with a couple of things and they make a bit of sense. Now, the 6 hours covers quite a large variety of situations. If you look at the label, you'll notice that you can cover anything from really long rough to really, really short putting greens like this one here. And what it does is, because it's absorbed by the leaf, if you cut it off too soon before it's absorbed, especially when it's longer, you're probably mowing it all off and you're not going to get a result. So the 6 hours would be more important for the longer the turf. Now, if you cut it and then mow it, if you cut it and then apply PGR straight away, there's a couple of things are happening there. The grass is actually recovering from a fairly traumatic experience. I mean, not everyone's cylinder mowing for starters. There's some cylinder mowing, there's cylinder mowing, there's rotary mowing, and even some people might be flail mowing and their roughs and so forth, and then they might be applying some PGR. So what's happening is we need time for the grass to sort of heal up, recover before it gets its application, because believe it or not, the PGR does knock it around a little bit, especially at the first application of the season. It really can knock it about. So it's really important that we give the grass ample time to do it. Now, the other reason we actually mow beforehand is it just gives the opportunity to clean up any stuff. So if we've got leaves, for example, leaves or sticks or whatever the case may be on here, stopping that part of the turf from getting any chemical. So we mow it up, we have a clean surface, we wait our 6 hours, worst case scenario on the long stuff, then we apply our PGR, and then if we wanted to mow again, we wait another 6 hours. So for me, I normally mow the day before. I'm not prone to a lot of leaves or debris, but if I was, I'd be probably blowing it off beforehand or something like that. So that's the other reason. Finally, there was another question that came up, and that was to do with using PGR and fertilizers to fill in bare areas quickly. Now, it's counterproductive, and I'm not a subscriber to that. And once again, I ran it through Syngenta, and they sort of came back to the same opinion me. Yes, it does tighten up a playing surface, or it does thicken up a lawn in the sense that it creates a tighter surface. But if you have a bare area, for example, and you're applying PGR and a fertilizer to try and fill that area in quicker, it doesn't work. So sort of want to debunk that a little bit as well. So if you've got an area you're trying to fill in and it's quite large, I would be more inclined to use regular smaller applications of fertilizer with no PGR, and then when it's filled in, use your PGR, because yes, then it will give you a tighter, thicker, denser surface, but it's not going to help areas fill in, larger areas fill in faster. So that's sort of touched on a few of the main questions I get. And the other thing obviously is I am a big believer of using the growing degree day calculator. I find the Syngenta one really, really good. This is not an ad for these guys, this is just personally what I do. It sends you notifications. Traditionally, I run 250 degree day before applications. A lot of you guys are doing 200. This year, I'm going to come down to 200. I just want to see what differences I'm achieving by having it at a 200 day application versus a 200 degree application as opposed to a 250. Because I had no dramas with the 250, but I want to see if the 200, just see if there's any difference. So I'm going to bring it down to 200 this year with you guys, but as I said, in times gone by, I've been at 250. Now, the other thing, always think about or always consider applying some iron when you use a PGR, especially for the first time, because it will knock some colour out of the grass, especially those first few applications, because as I said, it is quite a shock to the lawn. But on the plus side, it still will help your roots. So your roots will still develop nice and deep, but it will curb a lot of leaf growth on top, which is sort of the name of the game. So yeah, they're the sorts of things. Add your iron to your mix. No need to add any leaf wetters, so nothing like Chem Wet, none of that's required. You want a nice fine misty sort of spray. We want it to stay on the leaf blades. We don't want it getting too far down in, and we should be right to go. Now, also want to have a look at this zoysia again. So last episode I should say, we touched on the zoysia and how it was going, and then I shaved it right down, I guess unintentionally in a way, because I was sort of hoping that it wouldn't go that way. Oh, time to sit down. I was sort of hoping it wouldn't go that way, but it did. However, we're already starting to get really good growth and recovery. So with this weather that we're getting, and today would have to be 1000% humidity, it's really humid. We had another storm overnight. It was more of a gusty sort of thing, a couple of millimeters, and that was that. But I'm going to give this zoysia another mow today. I'll give you a look at how it's recovering. It's really starting to fill in now. So I think by the end of this growing season, we'll have a fully covered surface. So still really slow, but I just want to see what it's like as a fully maintained, shortcut, low surface compared to, say, our Tiff Eagle. So let's go and check it out. Righto, you can see here, last week we shaved all these little tufts were actually quite aggressively mown, but you can see already they're all coming back. We've all got growth on them all, and that's very, very standard. There's none that haven't recovered, so that's a really good sign, and we're starting to really now get a lot of areas filling in. So starting to see some really good results here, and that's a great thing, because I've been itching to see this in a large patch, because when it turned up I had about maybe 1.5 square feet, so probably I'd say it'd be 30 centimeters by 40 or 50 centimeters, and that was all I got. So here we are from that tiny little patch. I've managed to create this much turf here. So that there, once it's all filled in, I think you'd nearly sprig that out with your Pro Plug, or plug that out. You'd get probably nearly half the green done. It'd mean it would be out of play for quite some time, and probably close to 12 months. But hey, let's just see what happens. Let's just play it by ear. Let's get this here maintained and see what it looks like as a putting surface. And as I said, we'll compare it to our Eagle, which is still just continuing to shine. Let me get out of the shadow here. That's really, really great. So as I said earlier, I am super impressed with this stuff. This stuff is just next level. It's just a real shame, I guess, that it's just so hard to come by. As I said, there's only one grower that I think is commercially growing this, and they're based in Queensland, and I'm getting reports from you guys that they're not actually keen to sell to the public. So not quite sure why that is. Maybe it's just they've got a small patch and they keep that for bowling greens and golf greens up north, etc. I don't know, but the few people that have said to me, they've rang those guys and they're not interested in dealing with the public. So not sure what that is, if it's right, if it's wrong. If you have actually tried to get some from them, let me know in the comments, put it in below. But anyway, yeah, so that's how it's looking. Rolls really, really nicely. And look, this could probably get cut shorter again. As I said, the whole green situation at the moment is sitting at 5 mils. I lifted it up a little bit because what happens is in the undulations over there, anything lower starts to dig into the sides, and until I get this green, sort of get those removed from this green, it's really hindering me from getting down to the crazy short heights. But also, that being said, Santa Ana doesn't really enjoy life any much, sort of under 4 millimeters, and it's not really that happy. So look, 5 millimeters, that's where we're at. It looks presentable, but as I said, this here is just next level, and it would quite easily sit beneath 3. Like it wouldn't even bat an eyelid. Okay, so look, that's still scalped a little tiny bit, and that's going to because these bits are sort of push their way up higher. As these bits here start to fill in a little bit more, that'll sort of bring it up a little bit as well, and this will start to smooth out. Once I get a little bit more coverage through here, I may consider a very light top dress just to fill in these dips, which will also bring the mower up so it's not falling into each little section. But once again, looking better than the first mow. So I think regular mowing from here on in, and slowly, very slowly but surely, should fill in really, really nicely. Righto, finally, before we go, started to talk about seed heads at the beginning of the video. Now, I'm having some, I wouldn't call them issues, but I'm having a lot of seed head production right now myself. Now, this here is predominantly wintergreen cooch, and you can see here the whole thing around me is seed heads. Now, we've had a really unusual season, and a lot of this will be caused by that unusual season. So we started off with a lot of rain, a lot of wet weather. We got a lot of growth, but it was a lot of leggy growth. So this is all just part of the cycle. It should die down. You could add, if it was, you can add things like PGR to reduce this. You can also sometimes add some more fertilizer, but if you've already got a high fertilizer regime, that's probably not going to suit. Here, I could probably add a little bit more fertilizer. But hey, don't stress, this will pass, but I can understand how some of you guys don't enjoy it. Anyway guys, look, we'll wrap the video up here. I hope you and your family have a fantastic Christmas, have a safe New Year, and we'll see you here soon on the Aussie Lawn.